Our general philosophy on Late Kick is we don't spend a whole lot of time, obviously, on wardrobe. We don't dress the show up with fancy graphics. In fact, we believe that you have left a lot of programming that exhibits those sorts of characteristics for the more alternative media, stripped down version that instead capitalizes on offering you two things: information and access. I listen to you guys. You give me the best free market research that money can't buy, and that is your actual opinion. What do you want to watch? What do you want to listen to? And over and over and over again, in varying degrees, you tell me, give me access, give me stuff no one else gives me, and give me information. I want to be able to see behind the scenes, and I want something that dives deeper than just hot takes here and there. Let's fly above the sport at 30,000 feet and just kind of look down on it. I want you to be in it, and I want you to bring me into it with you as much as you can. So I'm going on vacation this upcoming week, which will make sense in a second as to how it relates to this. Mario Cristobal got in touch with me Friday after we had talked about Oregon Thursday, and basically he said, hey, I'm coming on the show. Make it happen. So we made it happen. Now, a lot of what I'm about to show you is going to air on the Thursday night edition. Here's the format for the Thursday show. I'm going to be on a beach somewhere. So the Thursday show is going to be part mailbag, so get as many questions as you can into me, and then it's going to be part our sit-down interview with Oregon head coach Mario Cristobal. And I know some of you are turned off by interviews, but let me just caution you, it's not your typical interview. I'm about to give you a taste of it in a second. We go really, really deep on stuff that's going to interest you. If you're an Oregon fan, it's going to fascinate you. I don't care if you're a North Carolina fan or a Baylor fan. You're going to watch him, and I swear to you, I've watched this stuff for a long time. I've never heard a head coach talking to me or anyone else go as deep on as many topics as Mario Cristobal did with us. The entirety of that interview is coming Thursday. But tonight, I wanted to give you a little sneak peek of it. So one of the things I always used to wonder about is the hiring process. When coaches interview for jobs, all you ever read about is a headline that says he interviewed and then he either was extended an offer or they went in a different direction. But you never get to be a fly on the wall. You never get to sit down there in the room and listen to the hours upon hours of really in the weeds, granular football type questions. Even knowing it probably would confuse you, you'd still be fascinated by it. So I told Mario Cristobal, you just hired Joe Moorhead, for example, as your offensive coordinator, which, by the way, is a very much overlooked hire that is going to directly impact college football this upcoming year. But I digress. We can talk about that later. I asked Mario Cristobal, in fact, you're going to hear me ask the question, take us in depth. Take us behind the curtain. Talk as long as you want to. What is it like to hire a coach as a head coach at a Power 5 program? Colin, roll the tape. Let me ask you a question that I don't really hear talked about much. There are coaches that go all over the place every year. There's overturn on your roster virtually every year, but all we ever read is a headline that, for instance, Mario Cristobal in Oregon, they've hired Joe Moorhead as new offensive coordinator, but you never get to be a fly on the wall in the interview process, probably because it's in the weeds and 99% of us wouldn't understand what's being said. But yet it's still fascinating. Like, I don't know calculus, but I watch calculus get taught and it spins my head, but I'm still fascinated by it. When you're interviewing someone for a role like offensive coordinator, this is going to directly impact several games for you next year, one way or the other. What is an example, or are some examples of really specific questions you ask and really specific things that you have a guy get into from the granular football level?
I'd like to credit Coach Mangini with the New York Jets, who obviously worked for Coach Belichick back in the day. And you're looking at me going, how does this even come into the conversation? It comes into the conversation because in 2005 and 6, I was offered an interview opportunity with the New York Jets as a tight ends coach. And I went up thinking this will be, an hour or so, whatnot, and we'll just share information, talk a little ball. And, that was an 8-9 hour process where we talked football, but we demonstrated football. We scouted tape of the team and the players that I coach, and then the team and the players that I maybe would have an opportunity to coach. I was given scouting film and asked to evaluate in detail balance, body control, acceleration, deceleration, toughness, initial body quickness, you name it, hips, body stiffness, toughness, motor. I was asked to demonstrate the introduction of a concept in front of an entire room full of coaches. and administrators. I was asked to sit in on a meeting and digest a concept and then be able to regurgitate it. I was asked to stand up and demonstrate technique and fundamentals as it related to a block, a release, an escape, catching a football, high pointing a football, a red zone ball versus, a contested, tight slant ball. It was a relentless process. So I'm sorry to, divert into that, but that's what led to our process, which we first used at FIU, where we were able to hire really great coordinators like Scott Satterfield, who ended up being a member of our staff back in the day. So when we bring in somebody, it's the ultimate, I would say, litmus test in terms of character, knowledge, presence. We do it first as an entire organization, have everybody sit in, because we want everybody to get a feel. Because wherever we hire, right, can determine the fortunes of the entire organization. So I do want people to have a feel. And I trust a lot of people to come with me. I don't want people in our organization to be afraid to give me information on how they feel about things. But whatever is presented by that coordinator has to match the film that they're talking about, right? Because it's easy to talk about, well, hey, I believe in explosive plays and going tempo and making sure that we run by people. Okay, well, this clip of tape shows it's 42-0 in the third quarter. Tempo play. That's what you don't want. And when you start putting someone and letting them present their craft, number one is you want to see how well do they own their craft. Does that information, does the way he teaches, does it just roll off his tongue naturally, right? You also want to gauge their presence. Ask them to teach as if you're a freshman. I'm a freshman. You teach me. I don't know, anything from Adam's house cat to say Coach Saban's old line, right? And have them teach and go into it. And then once you get into it, they feel comfortable, then start throwing issues at them and have them respond. Well, all right, what do they bring corner fire? You're running into an unblocked corner, yet you don't have something attached on the backside to get rid of the football. How do you deal with that? And let them get into the way they, resolve things, because it's great if they own their craft, but let's see them handle sudden change, so to speak, right? Let's see them handle adversity. Let's see them make an adjustment. And are they going to get caught up and maybe stutter into it and try to talk their way around it? Or do they have a solution on the spot where they can roll with it? Certainly want them around everybody in the building, the recruiting staff, the operations staff, academic staff. Want to share thoughts on academics, philosophies on dealing with young men and their families. How we just treat everybody that comes in the building, whether it's an intern, someone that's voluntarily working for us, coordinator. It's a really rigorous process, because every hire matters. Every single hire matters. And, we don't claim to be, the know-it-all people, but we work extremely hard at it. And we take a great amount of pride in the fact that we know for a fact we have the best people in the industry.
So big thanks to Mario Cristobal. We're going to air that entire interview, pretty much that entire interview, on the Thursday show. It's really good. It's like 30-plus minutes. We talked over an hour. We're going to trim it down to about 30-plus minutes of that extensive detail, that deep a dive. And that's the kind of interview, if we're talking to a head coach, that's the kind of information we want to get out of them. You can go elsewhere for the surfacey, cute type stuff. And I know that's a lot more in-depth and that's a lot more nuanced, and it doesn't appeal to a mass audience, but that's okay. Because I think I know our audience pretty well, and I think that's the kind of stuff that you want. And it's stuff that I know you're not hearing pretty much anywhere else, because let me let you in a little secret. Not a lot of folks really know what you guys are truly interested in. So I at least am smart enough to listen to you and know that's the kind of stuff you're interested in.